What are things attractive people do that unattractive people wouldn't even think of? Write in the comments what you think about this. Enjoy the show. Story 1. I'm what I like to call regionally beautiful. I live in Michigan in a more economically depressed area. I wear makeup every day, always dress nice, always have hair, lashes, and nails done. I'm not crazy per se, but I have some really fucking annoying traits thanks to ADHD. Men will at least at first think these obnoxious traits of being late, forgetting shit, losing things, not being able to find my keys for the 100th time is cute and endearing. Pretty sure if I was ugly, they would just be a pain in the ass nobody wants to deal with. Story 2. My little brother is very handsome. 10/10's traditionally handsome face and is 6'5". I recently went out with him for a pint, and the amount of people who walk up to him and introduce themselves really surprised me. Mostly women who were very flirtatious, but also men who were mostly not flirting with him, but just wanted to shoot the shit. He's since been hired by one of the guys who came up to him that night. Makes no sense how friendly and open people are with attractive strangers. Story 3. Ask for exceptions, favors of employees at stores, restaurants. Pretty PPL are always more likely to ask like, hey, I know you guys are busy, but can me and my friend please get us seated? We're starving. Because they're not used to people saying no or having a poor reaction. And if they do get told no, they're often more offended than an average, below average looking person would be. Story 4. Beautiful people can get away with being dull 90% of the time, and people would fawn over them when they say something remotely interesting on occasion. It's as if the positive aspects of their personality make a bigger impact than average. For someone who is not visually appealing like me, I've had to actually try and shape and mold interests and hobbies to engage with people. Even then, it's much harder work. Story 5. On the extreme attractiveness scale, you have to hide your personal information as much as possible. My wife was an NFL cheerleader in the early 2000s. We had 2 police officers look up her phone number from a license plate check and call our house and leave messages. There were employees in the football organization that would get her number from employee contact sheets and call and leave creepy messages. It was both of our voices on the VM machine. Propositioned a number of times to randomly get on a jet to go fly to some rich dudes' ranches or compounds. They were legitimate offers. One was an owner of an NBA team wearing a velvet tuxedo. OMFG, I didn't realize how creepy some small percentage of dudes are. It was surreal. So the mix of very attractive plus and desirable job role is not always rainbows and sunshine. On the other side, she was getting a C in OChem and somehow ended up with an A at the end of the semester. Story 6. I guess not do, but I get a lot of free stuff at restaurants, stores, etc. People running to open the door for you. People are usually nicer to me, asking to help in anyway. It seems I get treated better at work as well. More opportunities. On the flip side, I feel like an object at times and paranoid about being assaulted. If I'm waking alone, I'll wear baggy clothes and tried to hide that I'm a girl for safety reasons. Story 7. As someone who was obese, then lost weight and became mildly attractive for my age, 40M when it happened, the biggest WTF for me was people smiled and talked to me more. Checkers at the grocery store, parents at my kids' school that never even nodded at me before, other adults at the kid playgrounds, people in line at Starbucks. It was really effing weird. Went my whole life being invisible. Then as soon as I slimmed down and did some push-ups, people started approaching me and treating me nicer. Story 8. I've been on both sides. I was a fat, ugly kid growing up. I was fat till I was 16, so pretty much my entire middle and high school years. I remember my other friends who weren't considered unattractive would be talking to a group of girls and making them laugh, but then, when I tried to join them, the girls would move away or dismiss me entirely. Fast forward when I got to college at 18, I've lost around 16 kilograms by then. And holy hell, starting a conversation was so much easier. And people would drag the conversation even, not just girls, but boys as well, LOL. To think that literally 2 years ago, I think that talking to people or girls especially is the hardest and scariest thing ever. I really want to give my 16-year-old self a hug because he was insanely insecure and scared. I remember worrying about even my movements when talking to girls because I was so hypercritical about everything because I didn't want to scare them away. That was not healthy at all. Story 9. They can dress like a hobo. Yes, ugly people do too, but it's different. The ugly person does it BC, they don't care or don't know any better. The hot girl will throw her hair in a psycho-looking messy bun, wear an old slash-stained big t-shirt and big sweatpants, have socks on with sandals, no makeup, and everything is mismatched in color, and go to the grocery store and think nothing of it. BC she can. The same girl is the one who is a 10/10 and wears club attire every weekend. She's so attractive that she never had to learn the feeling of being obligated to put in even minimum effort before leaving the house. Hot guys can do the same thing, but it's way less obvious. Story 10. I grew up mid, was attractive in my early 20s, gained a lot of weight and became obese during the pandemic, and am back to being relatively conventionally attractive, fit, go to the gym often, eat well, dress well, here in my late 20s. People are just super friendly to attractive people, willing to offer a lot of grace and gravitate toward you. Most of this is nice. It gets very overwhelming very quickly, though, and it's kind of exhausting to be met with a lot of intense attention everywhere you go. I have had many men buy me many drinks. I've also had men follow me places, catcall me often, and masturbate at me in the street. I did try to pull the same shit I did when I was skinny when I was fat, mostly breaking small social norms and little rules. And it definitely did not have the same reaction. People are a lot more straight up when they don't want to sleep with you. It's a bubble, but it's a comfortable bubble. Story 11. Go to a restaurant bar and order the most expensive thing on the menu. When the bill comes, sigh and out loud announce you forgot your wallet to the packed house. You'll see someone rush over to pay the bill for them, or the waiter will tell them it's on the house, and they look forward to seeing them again. Try that as an unattractive person. You'll get the police called or a lifetime ban. Story 12. I used to be pretty hot, but put most of my self-worth in being smart. I really thought the fact I got the fastest promotions, my ideas were taken seriously, etc. was because I was smart and hardworking. Nope. I can look back now and see that people listen to me because good-looking people are given a presumption of intelligence and expertise, whether they are or not. I was just able to take advantage of that where similarly smart peers weren't. Story 13. Accepting generosity from strangers. I'm writing this as someone who used to be quite unattractive when I was younger, before growing into myself and becoming objectively attractive. I used to be terrible at asking for what I want from anyone. Employers, partners, friends, family. I always felt like I existed to take up space. Eventually, I became attractive and it felt almost impossible to not receive things through no effort of my own. I was offered jobs. I received gifts randomly. Strangers would give me free things, buy me drinks, or pay for my friends' dinners. I even dated someone who would fly me places on a private jet, which I still think is nuts. Everyone was always so nice and giving. I used to feel so guilty, but eventually I just started being cool with it. For the past 2 years, I've been dating someone who is incredibly objectively attractive, both physically and as a person. 6'4", large, muscular physique, objectively handsome features / hair / etc., high-paying job, charming and overall an absolute gentleman. He always treated me like a princess and still does. I assumed people would see us, and the generosity would stop there, but somehow it increased tenfold. We always get invited to exclusive events. Strangers still cover our dinner / drinks sometimes. People sometimes ask to take our pictures because we look cute together. The other day, I brought up our upbringings, and based on how he always treated me and the people around us, I assumed he also grew up unattractive, having to rely on his personality intellect rather than his looks. But it turns out he was always cute and was just raised well. He just assumed everyone was always super nice / generous / giving to him because he's sweet. Story 14. Attractive or unattractive people is a ridiculous way to view others. You are attractive and unattractive for so many different reasons. Every person has attractive and unattractive qualities, physical and personality-wise. One person can find another person incredibly attractive, whereas someone else might not find that person attractive at all. Try being yourself, keeping good hygiene, and being kind. It goes a long way. Story 15. I am very attractive, but I have trauma and self-esteem issues. I see the way people treat me like strangers. It's creepy AF. People willing to bend over backwards just BC of my appearance. I never know who actually likes me for who I am as a person, or if they just like me BC of my looks. What's been weighing heavily on my mind is the fact that I am aging. I'll be 40 in a couple weeks, and I'm terrified that nobody will want anything to do with me when I begin visibly aging and wrinkling. Just makes me sad. Story 16. One of my female coworkers had put in her 2-week notice but didn't have a job lined up or any particular plan for one. She went to lunch at a burger joint, and some random woman in line ahead of her told her how pretty she was and offered to help get her a job where she worked. This girl, who didn't realize how pretty she actually was, didn't understand when I told her that us less attractive people have a whole different experience when we are job hunting, like pounding the pavement, putting in countless applications and never hearing back from anyone. To her credit, she was also extremely nice and charming. Story 17. My sister is gorgeous. I am average looking at best. In part, this could be due to her confidence, but she'll often ask or be given things or gifts entirely because she asks or says she's liked something. Men who are entirely strangers to us have given her thousands of dollars worth of gifts. She once was lifted an entire Range Rover, hers was around $90K, after mentioning she wanted one to her BF of 3 months. Story 18. Soften what you say so you're not seen as an asshole. or apologize in advance before saying something that is true but would be badly received. When I'm using, I get that crackhead chic energy, cheekbones, jawline, messy hair, but I'm usually the tallest or one of the tallest guys in the room, so I need to be careful to not be intimidating. I used to think it was because I was ugly, but I got Grindr, and it did wonders for my self-esteem. Story 19. I find that conventionally attractive people always get away with being genuinely weird and lacking basic social skills. They always think they're funnier than they really are, always think they're more likable, always want to monopolize the conversation, etc. It's as if their looks have taken them so far in life that they didn't feel the need to acquire social skills or decorum, which is odd considering they likely have far more social experiences than someone mid or below average. I also want to add that attractive people often get away with doing behavior that would be deemed creepy when done by people not as attractive. Staring at someone at the gym, asking for a stranger's number, being persistent, saying overly sexual comments, etc. Story 20. As a what attractive man. The amount of negging I get from dating less attractive women is truly staggering. Just trying to get to know them, they would lash out like I was trying to use them. Also, no one is more concerned about being used, the woman who thinks others think they are unattractive. Look, I had major flaws and problems I have worked on and continue to. Doesn't mean I can't acknowledge those things while searching for a partner and wanting that, but the bitterness was unreal. Especially because it was tinged with a dismissal of all the struggles I have had in my life. I have never had a hookup in my entire life. I lost my virginity later in life. I'm not demanding sexually in any way. But through dozens of dates with the only women that would match with me on a dating app, I'd be being lectured how I don't understand them and I get whatever I want. Funny part is the pretty ones were always nice, even if I actually pushed for more. They would be more flirty, they would ask harder questions, they would be serious about their boundaries, they would tell me why we wouldn't work, they wouldn't be dismissive, and they would pay more attention. Story 21. Be super toxic and mean, but still get away with it. I had a former friend that was beautiful. She could have easily been a model, but she pulled the most horrendous and emotionally manipulative shit whenever she felt someone wasn't giving her the attention she deserved. Every relationship of hers ended badly, and she would often blame her partner for it. I met almost all of them, and they were not the problem, and no one ever called her out for it. Story 22. I didn't think of my looks much until my friend told me that people aren't as nice as I think they are, and that I get special treatment because of the way I look. It was said sharply and hurt my feelings a bit, but I woke up when I started watching the way she was treated compared to me. So I guess my answer is that attractive people go through life thinking that compliments and gifts and opportunities come to everyone, but they don't. Not everyone is granted access to certain spaces or immediately made to feel welcome in large groups. Story 23. They actually date for personality more than looks most times, at least as they get a bit more mature. When you get your pick of the litter, so to speak, you learn that attractiveness is one of the least important traits in a good relationship. Chemistry, compatibility, flaws, virtues, etc. become far more important when looks is never an issue. It's why you see quite a lot of very attractive women with very average-looking guys. It's not because of only money, usually. It's because of how great they get along, how the guy treats them, and how well they mesh together. This isn't a nice guys finish first so much as guy who has everything I want but doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth. Whereas unattractive or average-looking people tend to look at others' looks in their league for compatibility because they put too much emphasis on looks and how someone who they find far more attractive than them aren't willing to invest any time with them because they don't think that person would ever find them attractive. Of course, this is a very broad observation and no way applies to everyone, but this happens quite a lot. Story 24. I have a buddy that's not attractive. He's fit, and there's nothing overly wrong with his appearance. He's very successful, intelligent, social, and has a vibrant life. I'm just a regular ass dude. Finances are challenging for me. All my hobbies are basic as fuck. And my favorite hobby is napping. He meets a girl he likes and does everything right. He treats them like princesses, and before long, he's in the friend zone. He's always convinced they're an angel. Upper tier, hard to get. I meet her and we immediately have sex. I never have to put in any effort at all. Occasionally I'm so drunk I'm an annoying boob, but it just doesn't seem to matter. This has happened at least a dozen times with the same buddy. He hates it. And I've been in his situation with other girls and a different buddy for almost as long. There's tiers to attractiveness, and the higher up the ladder someone is, the less effort they have to put out. Very attractive people that try really hard are a giant red flag. Story 25, speed without concern. My mom used to work with a woman who was extremely hot. She got a speeding ticket and was flabbergasted that the cop didn't let her go. She was doing 73 and a 50, if I remember correctly. He told her, "I would let you go, but you have your little boy in the car. He was about 3 or 4, and you need to think about him." It was the 23rd time in her life she'd been pulled over, but the very first ticket she'd ever received. Story 26. I have a nice face and I'm tall, but I was lanky and very awkward most of my life. Over the last several years, I got really fit and developed more self-confidence. The change was noticeable. You get away with nearly everything. People see you and subconsciously assume that what you're doing is the right thing. They want you to like them so they don't call you out. Story 27. Constant pics of yourself in hot poses on social media only flies if you are, in fact, hot. I don't think anyone questions why you would post a whole album of yourself, strutting your stuff in every pic. If you're ugly and you do this, the first post will be met with "You go girls" and inspirational body positivity comments. The 10th post will just be met with confusion. People will turn on you as conceited or start assuming you're running a parody account. Story 28. Not fart or burp casually. Lord, I've got female friends and they just casually burp all the time. I've commented gross before and they didn't know what I meant. Like I had to clarify I was talking about them burping and they were unaware they even were doing it. Look, I get being comfortable enough with someone to fart in the bed, but figured it was a universal understanding to not fart or burp in public. And the guy friends that just casually fart with no hesitation, I doubt it would completely detract from a hot person, but man, it does not do any favors for the average-looking folks. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.